Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County Forum for candidates for City of Lynnwood Council Position 3. I'm Karen Madsen, a member of the League, and we thank you for joining us. Let me start with a little background information on the position. The City Council is the legislative body of city government that establishes policy, provides direction to the mayor, and provides a framework for city administration to respond to community needs. Council members manage basic public services like sewer, water, fire, police, roads, parks, etc. They establish and enforce local laws affecting individuals and businesses, including local taxes. They control how land can be used, and they provide direction to the mayor. Candidates for city council do not declare a political party preference. Candidates for City of Lynnwood Council Position 3 are Josh Binda, Tyler Hall, and Bryce Owings. It is the policy of the League to be nonpartisan. Therefore, we neither endorse nor oppose candidates or parties. The rules for participation in this forum were sent ahead of time to all candidates, and they've all agreed to follow them. I'll pose the questions. I will clearly state the amount of time allowed for each answer. We're using a countdown timer, which is visible to all the candidates, and I will enforce time limits. The order of the questions was determined randomly, and the order for responses to the first question will be Bryce Owings, followed by Josh Binda, and then Tyler Hall. I'll then alternate candidates in the starting position to ensure a fair sequence. So, with that, let's begin. Candidates will have 90 seconds to respond to this first question. Mr. Owings, first response on this question. What are your top priorities for this office? Please explain why you're focusing on these priorities.
Hi, thank you so much. So I want to focus on affordability, public safety, and economic development. Um, Public safety is number one. I think that we need to make sure that the police not only have our support as a city council, but also are fully funded to have the proper amount of police policing the streets. Too many times have I heard from citizens that they'll call the police and they're told that they cannot respond because they have lack of employees to come police the streets. So that's something that needs to get taken care of. We're 7 officers down from the numbers we were at 2008, and that's kind of ridiculous. To where our population's grown since then. So economic development. I want to focus on local priority hires, so that way people in Lynnwood get to work on Lynnwood-based jobs. Putting more money in the hands of the pockets of the people here, as well as affordability. I want to work on zoning to make sure that not only apartment buildings are being made, apartments are great. We need to make sure that low income people have some place to live, but we also need to make sure low income people have places to buy as well. So I also want to focus on making sure that condominiums get built in Lynnwood, giving people from a diverse background opportunities to buy in to property and hopefully, eventually work their way up into, the dream home. I also want to make sure that we focus on diverse workforce, priority hires, focusing on people from certain parts of the city.
Thank you, Mr. Owings. Mr. Binda, your thoughts on priorities?
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I think I'm really focused on the things I was really focused on my first term, which is affordability, safety, and opportunity. In terms of affordability, I really think life is getting too expensive for many families in Linwood. I think from rent and food to healthcare, transportation, childcare, I think people are working hard but still struggling to keep up. And I do believe it shouldn't be this way. And I don't believe that making ends meet should be a full-time job. I think everyone deserves to have a safe home, to have healthy food, access to care when they're sick, and a good place for their kids to learn. As the current council member right now, I've been really focused on lowering costs and making sure families have what they need to thrive. I think whether that's building more affordable housing, improving our public transit, or supporting local resources, I think we must act quickly right now. Linwood being a place where everyone could afford to live and grow isn't just a possibility, but I really think it needs to be a must with the potential growth we're having. In terms of public safety, I do believe that true public safety starts with prevention, education, and being prepared, not just reacting to it when something happens, but I think we need to invest in programs that help early, especially for our youth, and offer strong mental health support services. On city council, I feel like I've worked on expanding resources that help people benefit when they're in crisis. Better safe than sorry is something I truly believe. I think it's better to prevent problems than fix them. We need to have a safety plan that focuses on wellness, where everyone, especially young people, can feel safe and supported. And I do believe that safety also means taking care of the places we love, like our arts and parks and clean water, and the spaces we
Thank
come
you, sir.
together.
Appreciate that. Mr. Hall, your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you for having me on here. Love to chat with you guys today. As you mentioned, the city council is a legislative body, and I really want to focus the city council on legislating for the big challenges facing Lynnwood. Um, Among those big challenges are kind of the rapid urbanization we're seeing with the arrival of light rail here in the city. I think the city needs to plan very effectively and basically just develop the city around the light rail in a way that really creates an urban center that is attractive to many people. Uh, Another thing that is facing Lynnwood that every city in the nation is facing is just the effects of climate change that are happening to our local weather and causing different disasters that we need to prepare for. We had a major heat dome in 2021, and a lot of people in Lynnwood brought air conditionings, and are we ready for that if that happens again? So many other just unpredictability with the climate change is something that I really think is a municipal problem, and we need to focus on the council on. And then finally, each candidate here has mentioned community safety. I No one's going to argue against community safety as an important thing that we need to focus on the council. What I would say is we also need to look at what is happening federally and what is happening with the due process of law and equal protection of the law. And I think the city council needs to focus on that to ensure that that is met for every person that lives in the city of Lynnwood.
Thank you, sir. Candidates will have 90 seconds for this next question. Mr. Binda, you'll have the opportunity to lead off, and the question is this. Now that you've told us about your top priorities for the office, what qualifications and experience make you a good choice to address those particular priorities?
Yes, I feel like as an incumbent here that's been elected for 4 years now, and currently the youngest African American ever elected in Washington state history, I feel like I bring a fresh perspective and a deep understanding of the challenges faced by my community. I do also think my role right now as current vice president of Lynnwood City Council and also leading the effort as the co-founder of our youth council has equipped me with leadership skills and insights into governance, into representation, into making sure that all voices, including our youth, are brought to the table. And I also think my experience as the former chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission has kind of honed my ability to advocate for underrepresented communities and voices. And I feel like additionally, my extensive community involvement and my work as whether it's speaking to the kids at the schools or getting involved locally have allowed me to connect with residents and understand their needs firsthand.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hall, qualifications and experiences?
Yeah, so I have pretty a variety of roles in my background, from starting in the service industry to tech support to software engineering and systems engineering, and also have done some legal work with the City of Seattle and Snohomish County prosecuting attorney. And kind of across those, I've really had to learn to do really creative problem solving. And with these really complex challenges that we were facing in Lynnwood, we need really creative problem solving that can really dive into Washington laws, into the RCWs, and find solutions that can work for the city. And my legal education and my work working with both or with environmental nonprofits with the city of Seattle and with Snohomish County, um, I want to be able to make these solutions that we can legislatively stick, and that can be effective towards what we're trying to do. Um, I want to I think that that experience will help drive legislation in the city towards something that can really solve these challenges. And I Yeah, that experience I think is what I bring to the table that is particularly useful for this role on the council.
Thank you. Mr. Owings?
Hi, yeah, so currently I'm serving as the treasurer for the Carpenters Local 425. I believe I can bring a lot of what I've learned how to budget in that role to the city, allowing us to actually keep the budget, whatever we actually set. as well as planning these projects going on around the city. I have a vast knowledge of how projects should be planned. Also, the workers. The current council right now allowed workers on a BMW dealership to be exploited because they had questionable immigration status. So the contractor knew that they could take advantage of them. And the current council chose to just ignore the carpenter's plea for help as we picketed the job site. So that's one thing that I can bring to the table, making sure that people from diverse backgrounds, no matter what your immigration status is or anything, can be fully protected here. When it comes to public safety, I did bring up, the police, making sure the police force is there, but I also want to utilize my relationship with trade unions to get into high schools and explain to these kids that there are other options outside of college. Not everybody can afford college. Rather than just going there giving pep talks, I want to give real solutions. So that's what I can bring to the table with my experience.
Thank you. A note to the timer, please note that the candidates will have 60 seconds for the following questions, so we'd appreciate it if you'd adjust the clock accordingly. And Mr. Hall, you will lead off on this one, please. Given competing and conflicting priorities, what factors will guide your finance and budgeting decisions?
Yeah, thank you for this question. I think this is also one of those big priorities that we have to face as a city. Just with federal funding becoming very uncertain and state funding as a downstream effect being uncertain, we need to have creative solutions again to solve our funding crisis. And I think we really should look into what we can use for revenue sources in the city, whether it's local improvement district or shifting from sales tax as sales tax become unreliable, or even shifting the property tax to a land value tax where we incentivize development and we can drive land value forward without putting too much pressure on small families owning homes and put more onto corporate investors and real estate speculators. When it comes to making cuts, I want to really prioritize the programs that really help vulnerable people, and make sure those stay in place so that we aren't cutting programs that people rely on for their livelihoods.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Owings?
I think I can bring. Sorry, what was the question again? I don't see it on the.
No problem. Given competing and conflicting priorities, what factors will guide your finance and budgeting decisions?
So I have a background. I was a men's director of a drug and alcohol program, so that's something very near and dear to my heart, helping people suffering from drug addiction, mental illness. So that's one thing that I want to make sure that we keep focused. But I also want to bring in outside programs, not just ones that the government funded ones that the city's focused on, but I want to bring outside ones that are not burdens to taxpayers. So hopefully that's not something that we have to necessarily raise too much more funds for. Uh, yeah, that's kind of my main focus on that.
Thank you. Mr. Binda?
Yeah, I believe when it comes to, decisions in terms of making financial and budget decisions, something I've always believed in and done, and I feel like I'm currently doing and look forward to continue doing is making sure we're prioritizing transparency, that there's community input, and the long-term impact, and that we have long-term impact of our investments that actually benefit the community. I believe that engaging with our residents currently to understand their needs and priorities will help us allocate resources effectively. And I do think additionally on top of that, that I want to ensure that our budget reflects our community to equity and our commitment to that and addressing the needs of the most vulnerable populations in our community and the working class. And that's something that I've always been an advocate for and will continue to stand up for and support. And I want to make sure our budget really reflects what the community is asking for and the needs and the wants of what our current situation of our city is. And those are the decisions that I'm looking to make when it comes in terms of our budget and the decisions of our money.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Owings, you have first say on this next question. What changes, if any, would you like to see concerning how the city of Lynnwood is run?
Yeah, so I would like to see the city be a little more transparent and more reactive to what the wants of the citizens are. I think right now they seem to just represent like, just one part, but there's a vast, you know, uh, train of thought for like the citizens. It's about a 60-40 split Republican Democrats. I want to make sure that all people are represented, even if I don't agree with them necessarily. I want to just make sure that we're hearing all voices, including people from diverse backgrounds, poor people, rich people, all people deserve a voice.
Thank you, Mr. Binda.
Yeah, I think some changes I would like to see is I would like to see kind of a more inclusive decision-making process with our city government. I really want to increase community participation in council meetings and by whether that's hosting workshops or etc. To make sure we're ensuring that all residents have the opportunity to voice their opinions and concerns with a lot of our decision making. I think a lot of the times our community has felt like their voices haven't mattered and their opinions haven't mattered, and I want to really make sure that we're increasing that. And I also want to advocate for more collaboration between our city departments to streamline services and create more effective solutions that to the challenges that we face. And I think it needs to be, a collaboration that we need to prioritize and focus on to make sure that we're all on the same page and moving forward as a unit for the city. And these are some of the things I want to make sure that we're working on and changing as we continue moving forward as a city: participation, community, and collaboration.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Hall, your thoughts on the question?
Yeah, I think more inclusion in government is also necessary as well. I think one thing that we could change with that is shifting to a proportional ranked choice voting system, where in this election there are 4 seats that are open on the Lynnwood City Council, and if that was instead allowed where the citizens could vote for all of those in one ballot, then they can basically just rank each of those, and we might end up seeing different candidates from minority viewpoints that aren't currently on the council because we tend to be a single color district. I think another thing I'd like to see is just more due process and following procedure in council meetings. Uh, Currently it kind of leads to a lot of chaos in council meetings, and a lot of time is just spent arguing on procedure. And like, if we can't as a council follow the law, why would people listen to our laws? So I think just to increase the trust in government, we need to have a council that really does pay attention to the law.
Thank you. Mr. Binda, you get to lead off on this next question, and it
Sounds good.
is, what measures, if any, would you propose or support to keep housing options affordable in the city of Lynnwood?
I think some things that I would propose to keep housing options affordable would be supporting policies that promote mixed income developments and incentivize developers to include affordable units in new projects that we build in the city. And I think additionally, I would want to advocate for the preservation of existing affordable housing and explore opportunities for more public to private partnerships to create more, I think, options for low and moderate income housing as well. I think those are the things I would do to create more housing options in our city.
Thank you. Mr. Hall, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the a lot of the housing for affordability crisis is a supply problem, where currently um, our supply is only single family homes and apartments, and there's kind of this gulf between the two of what is affordable for home ownership. And currently, the system of apartments and single family homes works really good for-profit developers, and uh, that that works well for their investors, but it doesn't work well for Lynnwood. So I think we need to really rethink heavily what we're doing, and I think that needs to be a spectrum of housing options. Bryce mentioned condos. I think there's even more spectrum that we need in there: townhomes, duplexes, co-housing, cottage courts, those sort of things. And I also think that relying on for-profit industries to solve this problem is probably just going to lead to the same result we've already seen. I think we need to have a larger investment and control by the Housing Authority of Snohomish County to actually develop and own these houses outright without private public partnerships.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Owings?
Yeah, just like what Tyler just said, I think we need more options, not just condos. Yeah, townhomes, duplexes, all those sorts of things. I think it's great that we are building affordable apartments. However, I do also agree with Tyler that we shouldn't be giving that off into the hands of a private corporation, giving them tax breaks, especially ones that are not um, respectable contractors. I'd like to see those jobs go more to responsible contractors that don't have a track record of exploiting their workers. And then on the other side of building affordable homes, I'd like to see more money get put in the hands of the people with local priority hire language put on these big infrastructure projects, allowing for more higher paying jobs here in the city so people don't have to travel to Seattle to go get those jobs, but they can get that money here. I'm also not afraid of entertaining the idea of raising the minimum wage to get more money in the hands of the people. Bellingham has a minimum wage of 18.66, which is $2 over state minimum wage, and I don't see why that couldn't necessarily be done here.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. Mr. Hall, you have first say on the next question, which is what actions, if any, should be taken to address the effects of climate change in your city? Please explain.
Yeah, so the city of Lynnwood has done quite a bit for decarbonization, and I think there can always be more. We as a society have not done enough for climate change, and we're already seeing the effects. We're seeing the effects all over the country with dramatic and tragic flooding that has happened. There's major loss of life, and we saw it here with the heat dome. We saw it here with the bomb cyclone event, and we need to be able to adapt our community to the realities of climate change. And I think that comes down to making sure our utilities are set up to be resilient in these situations so vital services can remain active. We need to strengthen community response efforts for these different disasters, just where neighbors will look after each other and help each other out. And we also just need to be able to be self-sufficient and not be able to rely on FEMA funds for any of this. And just with major heat events, more tree coverage is huge, just to make a walkable city something that people can actually survive in the heat, and yeah, prevent deaths from heat.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Mr. Owings, your thoughts?
I'd like to see a focus on green spaces. Just like Kyle said, we need more trees, we need more plants, we need more places to be for people to be outside. I think that'll help with some of the climate change. Obviously, that's not going to fix everything. I'd also like to see a shift from concrete buildings being built to mass timber. I'll give everybody a little bit of homework to look up that. I don't really have the time to explain it, but it by far has a far less carbon footprint than concrete buildings. And even in Milwaukee, you have a 26-story mass timber building being built right now. So it's something that we can do here. And so I would like to see maybe incentives to have these larger buildings in the town center be built out of timber instead of concrete.
Thank you. Mr. Binda?
I would say when it comes to the topic of climate change, I really do believe we should obviously invest in sustainable infrastructure, such as our transportation, which I think Lynnwood has been doing a really great job at doing. In terms of obviously now we have the light rail down here that's going to keep people from driving on our roads. We have our Zip pilot program here that's also Ubering people back and forth. And I think we're creating a lot of trails on our walkways that can help people make this a very walkable and safe city. So I think we are focusing on that, especially in our transportation, our green spaces. I agree with that as well. And implementing policies, I think that promote energy efficiency in our buildings right now is important. And I also would say advocating for more community education initiatives to kind of raise awareness about climate change. I think it's something that a lot of people still need to be educated on, and encourage residents to participate in more sustainable efforts and more things that help our current environment and help our community, like we've been doing, like planting trees and cleanups and etc. And so
Thank you,
things like
sir.
that,
Appreciate that.
of
Mr.
course.
Owings, first say on this next question. What actions, if any, should the city take to address diversity, equity, and inclusion policies and practices?
I think it all starts with education, honestly. I know that we come from a generation that's a little more educated on that than the last, but there's much, much more work that needs to be done, starting at a younger age. Advocating for more of that type of education in high schools and middle schools, maybe even grade schools. Let's get them young, get them educated. I think also bringing the community together through art festivals, uh, farmers markets, night markets, those kind of things. So allowing us to see that we actually have a very diverse community already and getting us together so that way we get to know each other's cultures. I think that'll help quite a bit in that.
Thank you, Mr. Binda.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, as a young BIPOC elected official right now, and obviously, like I said earlier, the former chair of the DEI Commission, this is something that truly matters a lot to me. Representation, making sure that a lot of voices are brought to the table from different backgrounds. And I think the city should do things such as, making sure we're having regular assessments in its policies and practices to ensure they're actually promoting the diversity, equity, inclusion, saying that we say we want in our community. Obviously, we say all are welcome here in Lynnwood, and we really need to do our due diligence to make sure we're representing that. And I think this includes obviously providing training for our city staff. Well, that's culture, competency and bias, stuff like that. Actively, recruiting a diverse workforce, making sure we have different voices that are being brought to the table and have opportunities. And I was saying creating initiatives that support underrepresented communities are the ways we can start taking lead in that and continue going in that direction. And that's why I think it's very important we have representation that understands that and brings that voice to the table.
Thank you, Mr. Binda. Mr. Hall, what say you?
Yeah, so I think the city of Lynnwood has done some great things for diversity and inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion in the city. And you can kind of see that just in the city with just how many people feel safe and welcome to be in the city, and we just have just a beautiful cross section of a society here. And it's something that we can always do better on, I think is the thing that it's like eating healthy or exercising. Like we can always be more inclusive and more understanding of other cultures. And um, yeah, it's something that I want to keep pushing for. I want to also make sure that we are protecting targeted groups within the US, where the federal government seems to be very antagonistic towards certain groups, and we need to make sure they feel protected, they feel safe, and they don't feel like they are going to be subject to harm. Also, on the inclusion front, I'm going to do another plug for proportional ranked choice voting. I talked about that earlier, but it also allows better representation for everyone in the city council.
Thank you. Mr. Binda, please speak first on this question. What is a strategy which could be used to enhance collaboration in your work on the council? Please give an example of how you have used this strategy.
Um, yeah, I think, one strategy for enhancing kind of collaboration is to establish regular joint meetings with various stakeholders, including community organizations, local businesses, and I would say our residents as well. I feel like this will help foster open communication and build trust. I think, for example, during my time on council, there's been multiple times I brought in community partnerships and organizations. Just recently, we were able to bring in an organization called Hopes for Homies that represent the Latino community, that are kids that are struggling with dealing with gang violence, and we were trying to recover from that and bringing in to hear the real representation of the real issues that they were struggling with. So that way, we as council, when we're trying to support these communities, understand it from a more real approach than just, biases or just, what we feel we should be doing. And so I've been able to bring in a lot of real representation to the table to make sure that we are getting informed decisions and lived experiences when we're looking to support and come together and collaborate with the people that we claim we want to support.
Thank you. Mr. Hall.
Yeah, generally my strategy in these situations, someone once told me, you can never really hold a position until you fully understand the other side. And the way the way that I see that as is you're really listening to people to understand what their point of view is, because we're all rational beings, and no one really wants to confront someone unless they really hold something truly dearly. And I think really diving into why someone understands something or why someone holds a view is really key to like understanding these diverse perspectives and being able to work towards a collaborative solution once you understand the basis of these things. When I worked in software development and UI and accessibility, this was a huge thing. Understand, like I had to always set aside my ability and my uh, just my perspective on how things should work and really understand why someone needed to have a certain usability function a certain way. And it will definitely apply to the city council with different issues.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Owings.
I actually agree with both Tyler and Josh on this. With Josh, I agree with bringing in outside organizations like Hope for Homies. I'd like to see more of combining those with other organizations that we have partners with. Like I have a very good relationship with all the trade unions, so I would like to, give these guys some more options. Let them see that there's apprenticeship stuff like that, as well as what Tyler was saying to his point. We just need to listen more. Everybody needs to take the time to listen, not to respond, but to understand. And we also all need to try to come to the conclusion that it's okay to disagree. And that's something that I hold very dear to my heart. It's okay if you have a different opinion than I do. And I hope to advocate for that more of that attitude.
Thank you. We have enough time for one extra question timer, so I'm going to tuck in one more question, 1 minute. And the question is this: we never have the time to ask all the questions we're interested in hearing about, and I bet we didn't have the time to ask all the questions you're interested in talking about. So is there anything, additional issue or information that you'd like to bring to the attention of those who are listening? Mr. Hall.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of opportunities for kind of rethinking economic development in the city as well. Similar to housing, there's kind of this big jump you have to do from an apartment to a single family house. With any sort of business that you're starting, it's a big jump from working in your garage, if you even have a garage to work in, to a storefront or a shop. And I would love to see the city council do more things that give a spectrum of options for different businesses, different entrepreneurs, whether that's a night or weekend market around the light rail, or pop-up shops being required in different developments, to hyper local retail options like a neighborhood cafe or a corner market, or accessory commercial units on your own property. I think there's just a lot of opportunities that we can not necessarily just have big box stores and storefronts, and have more options for entrepreneurs to build businesses in the city and be a hub for innovation.
Thank you, Mr. Owings.
Yeah, I want to advocate for the workers. Not only just the workers on projects here, make sure that they're being taken care of and paid properly, but also, the guy that just has a pickup truck and a business license. I want to, do a little more work on streamlining the permitting process, and getting them back to work, as well as again, going back to my relationship with the trade unions. This is uh, a little turn from what I was just speaking about. I want to advocate to get people coming out of drug and alcohol treatment, say they've got 6 months, a year clean sober, get them entryway into apprenticeships, so that way they have a real future and real hope. Um, the carpenters union has given me a real sense of responsibility, and it's really helped me in my own personal life through my own struggles, and I think that it could do those same things for a lot of other folks.
Mr. Binda.
Yeah, well, I'm just honored and blessed to be able to serve my community the way I have the last 4 years. Coming in at 21, now being 25, still the youngest in the area, and being able to be in this position. Lynnwood is at an exciting time right now. There's so much opportunity, so much room for growth, so many things happening. And currently being in leadership as our vice president, I'm really excited to continue to push forward the agenda of our community, which is making sure everyone has opportunity, making sure that the city is affordable and livable for the working class people in our community, and making sure that our kids, our youth, our seniors, and everyone feels safe, feel heard, and feel represented. And that's something I'm looking forward to continue doing and being a voice for and bringing to the table. And I'm really excited to hopefully, get reelected here if it's possible, and do that work. And I think right now where Linwood's at, we need all the voices that represent Linwood as possible. We need the working class, the union workers, the people of color, the older seniors, everybody. We need all voices to the table, and we need
Thank
that
you very much.
representation.
Thank you very much. And just like that, we've come to the last questions. Here it is. Mr. Owings, you have the first say on the last question. Please tell us something about your life experience that might surprise or intrigue voters.
So I actually in my 20s, I suffered from homelessness and drug addiction, which was a real struggle for me to get out of. I went to a 6 month program and ended up staying there for 2 years, was served as the men's director by the time I left. And it's not been a perfect path. I'm not going to sit here and say that everything's been great, but I found a real sense of purpose entering the Carpenters Union after I got out of that program and continue working with the homeless population right now. I actually go out and speak to them and feed them around the library right now. I've got, I would call some of them friends even, and I treat them like humans. And I think that's something that we should all try to do a little more. Remember that these people all have moms and dads like I did. I hurt my parents so much, and then was able to turn it around, and now I'm running for, Lynnwood City Council. So everybody deserves a second, third, fourth, fifth chance.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Binda.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people don't know, or maybe some have heard and all that, but my history and my family history, I'm a first generation American. Both my parents are from the West African country called Liberia, and actually immigrated to the country in the late 1990s after my dad had won an international lottery visa to come to the United States and came here as refugees. So me being here, after that's the history of my family. I was originally born in Providence, Rhode Island, and I came to Lynnwood, Washington back in 2012. And Lynnwood's been my home ever since I moved out here to the West Coast. And coming from a family that literally, my grandmother doesn't speak English. She's someone that worked very hard, struggled to get to our family where we're at, and her grandson now is in office here. A couple decades later, it's truly inspiring, and it's truly something that what the American dream is supposed to be. And that's why I have hope in, and that's why I continue fighting for, is that American dream that my family fought
Thank
for.
you. Thank you, Mr. Binda.
Yeah.
Mr. Hall, you have the final word.
Yeah. So my journey into public service has been a little bit of an interesting one. I worked for a big tech company in Seattle, had a great job, very comfortable, and just kind of really got disillusioned with what the company was doing and really its impact on society and the environment. And in 2021, kind of during COVID and just everything that was going on, I decided to quit my job and go to law school to try and use the law, which is what the city council does, is makes the law, use the law to really impact change for the better for the world. And that's through a lot of things I've said. You can probably notice I'm not a huge fan of large for-profit corporations, and I'm a big fan of the environment. And that's really kind of what I am driving for here. And yeah, I love solving problems, and that's something that we have in droves. And problems more as puzzles than challenges. And yeah, I look forward to.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. The League thanks these candidates for joining us and for running for office. Recordings of all League forums are available on the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County website, on YouTube, and on podcast channels. You can find links at lwvsnoho.org. If you prefer written responses, vote411.org, sponsored by the League, is another good source of information. Ballots and your Snohomish County voter pamphlet will be mailed starting Thursday, July 17th. Election Day is Tuesday, August 5th. Please be a voter. Thank you to our League Candidate Forum team and the Candidate Forum Coalition. Special thanks to Dave Moon and the Sultan High School students at TurkPride.tv who made this production possible. And of course, thank you to all of you for joining us. This concludes our Candidate Forum.